Welcome to Les Voix de la Photo. My name is Marine Lefort and I'm speaking to photography professionals every 2 weeks to discover their journeys, successes and sometimes setbacks and give some advice along the way. I'm French, but I live in Japan, and during my expatriation I will regularly interview professionals who work in the Japanese photography industry. Most of the interviews will be in French, but some interviews will be in English like this one. I hope you will enjoy this episode. Bonjour à toutes et à tous, je suis Marine Lefort et vous écoutez Les Voix de la Photo. Hello everybody, I'm Marine Lefort and you are listening to Les Voix de la Photo. I'm still living in Japan for a few days and I'm very happy to have the opportunity to speak with you, Katsuya Ishida. Hello Katsuya.
Thank you, hello. Thank you for having me, Marine.
You are a gallerist in Tokyo and you have founded MEM, Multiply Encoded Messages, in 1997 as a private gallery, then as a public gallery in 2003. And at the beginning you exhibited the works of well-established Kansai region artists, and in 2010 MEM moved to the art complex Natif in Tokyo. We will speak about the evolution of your gallery, but to start, can you just explain to us your background, like your university education and your professional experience before becoming a gallerist?
Okay, it's gonna be a long story. Since the university, my major was Arabic language and linguistics. So it's totally different from what I do right now. But somehow I took this job. Art theater are quite fascinating, as I helped an art dealer in Osaka during while I was in the university. And I love contemporary art, and so I decided to make a career in this field.
Do you have in your family or in your friends some connection with art?
No, not actually. Yeah.
So you at what age did you start to work in the art field?
Oh, it's actually later. That was when I was 27 years old. Because I stayed in the university pretty long, actually. So I started my career as an art dealer, and when I was 27 years old, that was in 1990, I guess, and I started working for a contemporary commercial art gallery in Osaka.
And so, how long did you work for this gallerist?
For 5 years, and I got independent, and I founded MEM in 1997.
And what was the idea at the beginning? Like, because I think it's not the same when you work for someone and when you work for in your home. What was the main idea and the beginning?
Yeah. The first, I was not sure if I could open the public gallery, keep the gallery space and holding a regular exhibitions. It's really tough, You need you have to pay the rent, and you have to sell artworks regularly. So I started as a private art dealer, working from home. And at the time, I mostly worked for museums, because at the time, and from the 80s to 90s, there are a lot of public museums started opening in every prefecture across Japan. And so I regularly traveled to Europe to find their European modern masters works for Japanese museums. So that was a starter. And also I worked with a group of Kansai-based artists whom I used to help at the gallery in Osaka I worked for. And these artists are known from the artistic movement called Kansai New Wave, who emerged in the 80s mostly. So that's that kind of thing that I started working.
So at the beginning, it was you working for in your gallery. So how was the landscape of photography at this time, and like the difference with now? I think we will go in other subject linked to this, but like what is the main difference? Because I think you have seen a lot of different projects and.
I was fascinated by photography, and gradually the gallery had a more emphasis on photography and photographic expressions by not only contemporary artists, but also modern classic photographers and history of Japanese modern photography. The group of contemporary artists I started working with mostly from this art movement called the Kansai New Wave. And one characteristic of these artists is they use the photographic technique for their work. For instance, they are multiple multimedia type of artworks with the photograph, not only photographs, but video works, so installation, and so and so. And some of the artists, the others include like Yasumasa Morimura, who also emerged in this art community, who appropriate most known Western paintings and inserted himself into the image of these paintings. So it's a kind of a photo collage, but his own body is collaged in these paintings by, for instance, by Van Gogh or Manet, and so and so. So it's one way of photographic expression, but also dealing with our conceptual approach. For instance, about between the West meets East, and the body, how the body is linked to painting, and so and so. And another artist, Tomoaki Ishihara, who photographed his own self-portrait, his whole body, and printed on a shaped canvas, oil canvas, and so and so. So at that time, there was a lot of discussion about the relation between art and photography. And since the late 80s to the beginning of the 90s, there are several key exhibitions organized by public museums, such as I brought several actually exhibition texts to show you. One is the exhibition organized by Tochigi University. It's called The Photograph That Became Contemporary Art. It was organized in 1989. And another exhibition is called Image in Transition, organized by Kyoto National Museum of Modern Art in 1990. So the theme of this exhibition is how photographic expression is applied into contemporary artistic practices. So for instance, the artist introduced in this context, Jeff Koons, Richard Prince, and Thomas Struth, Sophie Kahl, Cindy Sherman, of course, and the Japanese artists are Yasumasu Morimura, Tomoaki Ishida, and Hiroshi Yamazuki, and Hitoshi Nomura, and so and so. So, with the time that photographic expression are considered one of the most important artistic technique for contemporary artists. So that is one aspect that I got involved in photography. And another incident is that I was introduced to a group of works by Osamu Shihara, by the artist's son, Tamotsu Shihara, who is a contemporary artist specializing in installation. His father, Osamu Shihara, was a member of Tampei Photography Club, one of the major clubs that was founded in 1930s that advocated photo avant-garde expressions at the time. So then I realized there are also avant-garde experimental photo movements existed in Japan, just like a Bauhaus or a Russian constructivism. So that was how I got involved in the research on Japanese modern photography. That still continues.
And what are for you like the steps you did? And
I see the milestone, the important moment. For instance, of course, when I opened the gallery to the public in Osaka, in Kitahama area, that was a financial district of Osaka. That was a challenge, of course, and I started holding a regular exhibition by the gallery artists. Then another occasion was that when I first took part in Paris Photo, that was the year 2005, and I started introducing our Japanese photographers' work, and started making a network with photo people, collectors, curators, critics, internationally. So that also still continues. It's a kind of adventure I explore. And of course, the moving from Osaka to Tokyo, was also a challenge. As in Osaka, I had a difficulty to find not only our clients but also the audience. I wanted to show our program to a wider audience, so that's one of the reasons I moved into Tokyo, in this building, Native apartment it's called. Let me explain a bit of this building, Native apartment.
Yes.
This building is an art complex, including the galleries and the art bookshop.
It's big.
Well, it's okay. It's not so huge, but it's okay. And it was the Native is the art bookshop. It's a company specializing in art book and photo books. They have branches in museums, like in Tokyo Photographic Art Museum, just nearby. They have a branch called Baiten. So I met the owner of Native, 2008 or 9, and so when I was looking into the possibility to move to Tokyo from Osaka, so the owner, Mr. Ashino, who had a great idea, he built this building from scratch. So he had a vision of to make an art center with books. Books are quite important for me too. No, it's a connection of network of ideas and historical documents and so on. So it's quite fascinating. I'm a bookworm too. So I decided to move into this building. And so that's the second chapter of the gallery that still continues.
What are the kind of project you do as a gallerist? Because I think it's not really clear for the people who come to the gallerist, like what is really the job and what are the project a gallerist can do. So because before starting this interview, you spoke to me about research you do. So and it's this kind of thing we can't really see except when you print a book. But so what are the other projects you do as a gallerist?
Okay. The gallery programs include mainly two parts. One is exhibitions, mostly solo exhibitions by contemporary artists and photographers we represent. And there are more historical exhibitions focusing on the certain moment of Japanese modern photo history. For instance, we held a series of exhibitions focusing on avant-garde photo movement in the 1930s, Purevo period, featuring several key amateur photo clubs. One is our Tampei Photography Club that I talked about regarding Shihara, based in Osaka, as Osaka was one of the important centers of avant-garde photo movements. Introducing at the exhibition, we introduced three artists, Kono Toru, Shihara, Osamu, and Otono Tezo. Another exhibition we held was it's related to Tampei at the same period in the 30s. It's called the KPS, Kyoto Photo Society, featuring two key artists, Kobayashi Ushi and Ueki Noboru, based in Kyoto. So they also explored their avant-garde photographic expressions. So these avant-garde photo movement had short-lived activities because as the war approaches, the Japanese government restricted avant-garde artistic movement, and eventually all the photo clubs were discharged by their 1942 or 42 or 43 eventually. So such experimental or avant-garde expressions were totally banned by the government at the time. So it was short-lived in the 30s. Of course, before this avant-garde for the movement in the 30s, there was a new photography movement in the 20s, and before that in the Taisho period, the early 20s, as a pictorialism type of, not exactly a pictorialism movement, but also that kind of photographic movement also existed. So for these exhibitions, we focused on the 30s. For instance, this is the example of this historical photo program at the gallery.
And do you have some links with institutions, with museums? So maybe do you sell sometimes to a museum? Sometimes do you do exhibition in partnerships? Like what are the relations you can have also with museums?
Yes, of course. As we run the gallery just near, for instance, the Tokyo Photographic Art Museum. Sometimes we do the related exhibitions, with their similar theme. And also, of course, I offer this vintage prints to the museum for the museum acquisition, for their permanent collection. So the museums are also the important institutions we work with.
And what are the, I think it's a difficult question, but what are some evolution you have seen in your work as a gallerist, maybe in the promotion of artists? What do you start to do now and you didn't do before? For instance, I know you have a YouTube channel when you do an interview with artists to be able to communicate and to communicate with all the people. So, what are the evolution you have seen and the kind of project you do now, like as a gallerist?
I see. Evolution. Well, it changes along with the time. You know, for instance, in the 90s, although I worked with a group of contemporary artists, it was quite difficult to sell contemporary artworks in Japan. Well, the market is still small, but in the 90s, it really was difficult. So, as time goes by, as we go into the 21st century, you know, we saw our emergence of art fair phenomenon, let's say. So, the more and more Japanese galleries went out to participate in the foreign art fairs, and the market has been expanded quite, I think. So, and the contemporary art is a kind of booming right now, I think. So, the situation totally changed. But as I keep researching on historical materials, you know, vintage print by photographers from the pre-war period and even the 50s or 60s, I think it's quite important to know what happened in the past and how these events related to the present. What are our position in history? What we do as a gallery? So that's the you know, I'm still learning as I work. So yeah.
You know a lot of artists from abroad. So for this question, I'm not speaking just about Japan, but have you seen some subject or maybe or some way to speak about something or some way to exhibit or to communicate?
I see. Yes, of course there are always many styles and trends of subject matter and so and now, of course, especially in contemporary art world, political and social theme are becoming more and more popular. For instance, you know, decolonization, for instance, and their sustainability or ecological approach to the artwork and so. But I always think, you know, the important thing is what do you feel in your own point of view. It's sometimes I am asked by young photographers that. To make photography as an artwork, you need a certain concept. So what can I make of this concept? How can you find this concept? So it's really difficult. The concept is not the thing you invent or you make artificially. You express your artistic work from your own personal point of view and experience, and so and so. You know, so it's really, I think, a tough time for artists because there are a lot of materials and themes and styles are available online. So you can make a collage of all these style that happened in the history, and you can make your own work appropriating all these materials and ideas and elements, all available online. But still, you need your own perspective and your own physical approach. And it's not a style, and it's not even a concept. It's a something you create on your own. The gallery name MEM stands for multiply encoded messages. I took these phrases from the text by Michel Serres. It's a French philosopher. May I quote the sentence from?
Yes, of course.
It's actually English translation. When I started my company, I was looking into the several choices of company names, and I came across this sentence by Michel Serres that goes like this: every second of the day, the wind on my cheek sends me multiple encoded messages about the world. It creates an entire universe, but conversely, the universe also falls into little breezes, into legions of angels, as countless as the colorful crowds in the airports. So it's a rather poetic phrase, but it doesn't sound like a philosophical discourse. But I thought this is the the base of the concept of the gallery, because it's a meeting place, and it's the art object in front of you, like a photograph, painting, sculptures, are, let's say, the decoder of the world by artists. So you receive a multiply encoded message from the artwork. Then you retranslate these multiply encoded messages into your own language, into your own perspective to shape your own world. It's not a one-way communication from the artwork or photograph. And you when you go to the museum exhibition or gallery exhibition, the artwork exhibition are accompanied with a lot of information, the texts by famous critics or curators, and artistic statement. You read them, and you get them, and you think you understand the artwork, which is a big mistake, because the information is provided for the artworks. And it's not yours. It's not your perspective, and it's not your thinking. You just, with this information, well, you can use this information, but you also have to ignore all this information to shape your own vision about this artwork, because artwork talks to you in person. So that goes not only for audience, but also for every artist. Every artist has their own concept or plans, but eventually what appears after the creative process is totally different from your original thought. Probably, the artists themselves are even surprised by the art object they created. So that's how it goes. So it's always interactive communication between art and viewer. It's not one way. So that's what I'm always thinking about. So when I go to exhibitions or see artworks and so on. So yeah.
And what are the future of MEM? Like, what is your next project? What are maybe the next exhibition? I know in 1 month, Paris Photo. So yes, what are the projects you are working on not today, but like currently
at the moment we are preparing for the Paris photo. It's September, so no, it's already October. Yeah, so the November Paris photo. This time we will hold an exhibition introducing 4 photo clubs, also which were instrumental in avant-garde photo movement in the 30s. One is this Tampei Photo Club and KPS and IRUF. IRUF is from the Fukuoka in Kyushu. Also, IRUF was organized in the later 30s with a group of photographers and also painter also. So I introduced key photographers from each photo clubs at the show, showcasing the representative photographic expressions at the time, how they are related to the Western photo movement, because these works are partly influenced by European surrealism, or so-called avant-garde photo movement, artistic movement, but they have their own languages after translation of the original European photo movement, and established their own aesthetic style. So what is that is a question at the show. So that is the exhibition we will hold for Paris Photo. Then in the end of the year, we will hold a group show focusing on photo movement from the 70s. It's called a Compora photo movement, introducing first Gocho Shigeo and Miura Kazuto and Sekiguchi and Saji and Ushioda, 5 photographers who got involved in so-called Compora photo movement. This movement has a characteristic in a photographic style that most of them are horizontal image with ordinary landscape or cityscape with their friends or their families, and it's not a special. It's ordinary, images in their daily lives. So that ordinary people could take that kind of pictures at the time, but that became a whole photographic phenomenon movement, let's say, at the time, just right after the Provoke generation, who followed really aggressive, strong photographic style and strong black and white, arable bokeh style. But after that generation, this group of young photographers emerged with rather peaceful style, but their photo were quite badly criticized by the Provoke generation. So that is the exhibition we do in December, introducing this photo movement in the 70s. And
how do you organize your time between research and between research in historical photography and your work you do with photographer, contemporary photographer? How do you divide your time? How do you organize maybe your time between?
My time. For instance, I do a lot of travel, visiting local cities in Japan as well as overseas in Europe especially, and mostly why? Because to meet people, to meet artist photographers, and if it comes with the historical photographer, I meet their families and their pupils, and to interview. And also I go see collectors and not necessarily to sell artworks, but I am always curious about the view, the perspective of each collectors, and of course museum creators. How they built their collection.
Do you have collectors all around the world, especially in some countries?
Europe, the States.
And in Europe, it's mostly France?
Well, it's different part of Europe, France, Belgium, the Netherlands, the Germany, and Spain, and Italy is spread. Okay. Of course, in the UK, of course. Yeah. So it's really enjoyable to meet people. That's part of my passion, Meeting interesting people, It's worth meeting even one person somewhere, a faraway place, to see. And meeting people makes something happen, Sometimes the magic happens. Some interesting ideas we can share, and that might be realized in a certain project, maybe exhibition or publication, whatever. So sharing ideas, exchanging ideas, because it's not stand still. I mean, I don't follow the certain policy about the gallery. I just go with the flow. Let's say, the meeting people and the sharing ideas and concepts, and sharing interesting artist works, and so and making a network.
And what are the pieces of advice you can give to people who want to become a gallerist? Do you have some advice, some advice to think in a way, or to don't do something? Like, do you have some advice?
Advice. It's really difficult. It's because that depends what do you want to do. Like you said gallerist, but the gallerists could be many things. Like gallerist sounds like a bit abstract to me. The gallerist could be it's an art dealer.
Who wants to be a gallerist like you? Who wants to,
Yes, you can start from, working from home like I did before, and go out and meet people and whom you think interesting and exciting and inspiring, and have a conversation, and maybe you ask what you can do to help them as somebody who are interested in working in this field. I don't know, the gallerist, not necessarily you don't necessarily have a gallery space. You can work as a private dealer or art consultant, or it could be many things. The gallerist, art dealer, or collector in the first place. I'm a collector too, because I'm fascinated to build my own collection. So
no, it's interesting. Yes, I think it's good also to know, like, if we want to work in art, we don't. There are many options, as you said. Maybe gallerists, maybe art dealers, maybe independent curator. And yes, and maybe through the network, because you said you travel a lot, you met a lot of people, so maybe it's for all your people you met, maybe and we can maybe have some idea about
working as a curator and working as an art dealer or gallerist are totally different, because as a gallerist you have to sell sell artworks to run your own gallery, but curators are writing theses and organizing exhibitions and discovering an unknown territory in art history and so on. But a commercial aspect of the art world is quite also fascinating, apart from just making money, but because selling artworks is for me, finding a family, finding a husband or a wife for a piece of artwork, the print of photography, meaning connecting with people in person. It's a personal connection that the artwork travels through. I mean, it's always a network of people and a network of ideas shared with the same passion and interest and so on. So it's a very special relation. So it cannot be built unless you actually pay for the artwork. So it's a serious commitment. So I really think it's a really exciting job, work as an art dealer or gallerist.
Thank you.
You're welcome,
Katsuya, for your time. I think the people maybe in Paris can meet you at Paris Photo, so it's good. Like, the timing is good. So thank you for the advice, for the perspective you gave us on the photography market, or at least like your gallery, your project. Thank you. And also I remember I spoke with Xavier Martel and Yvan Vartagnan in Japan who spoke to me also about you, so I'm really happy be able to meet you before.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marion. Thank you very much.
And maybe see you in Paris.
Yeah, sure.
Bye. Thank you for listening to Les Voix de la Photo. To make the podcast known to more people, I invite you to write a comment and give 5 stars on Apple Podcast. If you want to share your comments with me, you can follow me on social media, on Instagram, LinkedIn and Facebook. See you next time!